Like what the question?
Yeah, the question that I've shared with you, because your mom was telling me to, give a feedback on the homework that the Laura has done. Okay, so make sure you
Sure.
share your homework with me. Okay, so I can review your homework and give a constructive feedback to your mom. Okay, so without wasting any time, let's get to this. Let's get started. Today we are like, as you know, that we were doing moles and stoichiometric calculations, and today we'll be like covering some more key concepts of this topic, which are the basic requirements of your IB chemistry. Okay, so yeah, so a quick reinforcement of all those relations that we were like using, all those formulas that we used to calculate the moles. The first formula, if you're given the mass of any substance, you will be using moles equals to mass over mr. Okay, so mr stands for the relative molecular mass.
Molecular mass.
Yeah, okay, so this is the first relation, right? The second relation that we will be using is that is, yeah, moles of gas, right? Moles of gas, okay,
Sure.
equals to volume of gas, okay, in dm cube. Volume has to be in cubic decimeter.
How much moles? How many more moles do we have to learn?
Yeah, two more classes on moles, then it will be like over. Like we're only left with percentage yield and purity. Okay, the percentage purity. That's it, right? So moles of gas equals to volume of gas divided by 24. That is the molar gas formula. Okay, then we have, for finding the moles of solutions. Okay, moles of solutions equals to concentration times volume. Okay, and one more time, please be reminded that volume has to be in cubic decimeter. Okay,
Yeah.
so this is the third relation that we'll be using for, yeah. And the last but not the least, for finding the moles or finding the number of particles, we'll be using that moles equals to given particles. Particles can be atoms, you know, if they ask you to calculate the atoms, ions, molecules, or anything, you will be using this relation.
Yeah.
Particles divided by Avogadro's number, 6.02 into 10 to raise power 24. Okay, so we'll be using all these relations to work out the problems which are related to moles that are frequently asked in exams, okay, in your IB exam. So let's get started. So here we have a list of some of the questions. Okay, I'm gonna share these questions with you. Look at this question number 1. Okay, so actually question number 6, right? How many grams of copper sulfate could be made from 10 grams of copper oxide and an excess of sulfuric acid? Question number 6.
What? How many grams of? So we need to find the mass. So we need to do.
Yeah, so you need to look for the mass of copper sulfate being produced. Okay, so let me just rewrite
10 grams.
Yeah, from 10 grams of copper oxide. Right, so they are basically asking you that if you're given with, let's say 10 grams of this, okay, then what mass of copper sulfate will be produced? Right, so just remember the 3 steps that I told you in the previous classes. So we'll be using 3 easy steps to work out this problem. Okay, let me just rewrite the chemical equation over here for you. Then the copper oxide reacts with sulfuric acid, H2SO4, and it produces copper sulfate, CuSO4, and water. Right, write down the steps.
We need to now we need to do the crossover thing.
Yep. So let's come again. What
can you go up a bit so I can write down the question?
Sure. Take your time.
Can you go up a bit? Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
No worries. You can take your time. Actually, I am recording my screen. What mass of this will be produced? Right. So step 1, always start your question and analyze like what is being asked to you and what you need to find out. Okay, let's say in this statement examiner is asking you that if you're given with, let's say, 10 grams of this, okay, then what mass of this will be produced. So always start your working from whatever data is given to you. Okay, so examiner has given you 10 grams of this, so start your working from here. Let's say step number 1, we'll look for the moles. Let's find the moles. Moles, and which relation we are using over here? The mass is given to you. Okay, moles equals to mass over molecular mass.
Over molecular mass.
Yep. So quickly show the audience how you can quickly work out the molecular mass. Copper is 64 and oxygen is 16. Yep. So we have to find the molecular mass of copper oxide, CuO. Let's plug in the atomic masses. Copper is 64 and plus oxygen is 16. So it's going to be 80. Right? So let's plug in the values. We have the mass which is given to us is 10 grams divided by 80. So what do we get? Divide 1 with 8.
1 with 8.
Yeah, what do we get?
That's just 8, right?
No, just divide it. 1 divided by 8. And we will be getting, where's the calculator? Yeah, 1 divided by 8, it's 0.125. Okay, 0.125 moles. So these are the moles of copper oxide. Okay, so copper oxide moles equals to 0.125. Now step number 2, let's move to the step number 2. We have another step. What is step number 2, Laura? Do you remember the second step?
Crossover.
Mole ratio. Yeah, we go with the mole ratio.
Yeah.
Mole ratio. On one side we're gonna write copper oxide, the known quantity,
Copper
and
oxide.
on the other side we're gonna write down the unknown quantity, like we have copper sulfate, CuSO4.
Yeah.
Okay, now step 2 is always done from the balanced chemical equation. Okay, look, now let's say if we have one copper oxide over here, we have one copper sulfate. For 1, it means the ratio is same for both. If this is 1, this is also 1. So we can assume that if copper oxide is 1, copper sulfate is also going to be 1. If this is 0.125, it is also going to be the same, 0.125. Usually most of the students struggle with this step, right? They don't know how to take the mole ratio. Okay, so here we have the moles of copper sulfate. Okay, now the step 3.
Yeah.
Step 3. In step 3, what we're gonna do in step 3? We find the unknown. Okay,
We have to
yeah.
You have to
Find the mass of copper sulfate. Okay, so you're going to rearrange the relation moles equals to mass over molecular mass. From here you have to work out the mass. Okay, so when you work out the mass, this will be multiplied on the other side. So what do we get here? Yeah, moles times molecular mass equals to mass. Right, so let's find the molecular mass of copper sulfate. Atomic masses are copper is 64, sulfur is 32, and oxygen is 16. Okay, so let's work out this real quick. We have copper sulfate 64 plus 32 plus 16 times 4. What is the answer? Is it 160 if I'm not wrong? 32, 48.
Yeah, it's
160. Yeah. So multiply.
Let me check it again.
Yeah, you can recheck it. 160 plus moles are
plus 16
0.125 and
is 160. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So multiply these two terms. 0.125 times 160. What do we get?
We get 20.
Okay, so
that's the mass, 20 grams.
20 grams. Very good. That is the mass. Okay. a quick reinforcement of what we did in the previous classes. Okay, now let's try this question. In some cases, examiner may give you multiple questions from different relations, from different concepts. Okay, now let's try this question. Can you try question number
Which one?
10? Question number 10, real quick.
How many moles are there in 20 centimeter cube of a 0.5 mole DM cube solution of HNO3?
Nitric acid. Yes. So can you just quickly figure out, like,
So we have to do like 20 times 1000.
20 divided by 1000. Now in this question,
Sorry, divide by.
yeah, divided by 1000. Now can you just quickly write down the relation that you will be using over here to work out the moles? You need to find the moles, right? So you are given with two things. One is the volume and one is the concentration. This one is concentration. So is there any formula which is relating volume and concentration together? Yes, moles equals to C times V, concentration into volume.
V.
Okay, but volume has to be in cubic decimeter. Okay, so first of all, convert your volume.
120 cubic.
Yep, convert your volume into cubic decimeter first of all.
Okay, so 20 divided by,
20 divided by 1000 times
and 0.02.
So yeah, 0.02 times 0.50. What is the answer?
0.01.
0.01.
That's moles.
Moles. Very good.
Mole.
Well done, Laura. Okay, let's try question 11 now, real quick. Here we have question number 11, and this is
how many moles are there in 10 centimeter cubed of a 0.1 mole? Okay, so we do the same kind of thing. So we have to do
exactly. This is a real practice question.
10 divided by 1000, which is 0.01, times 0.1 mole. Is it 0.001?
Yeah. So you have to, let's check the answer of question number 11. Question number 11, the answer is given below. The answers are given over here. Yep, that is like 0.001. Very good. Or you can also write it in this way, like 1 times 10 to raise power negative 3, like this. Okay?
Oh yeah, sorry.
So it also can be written like this. Good effort, well done. Okay, here we have the next question.
How many? Which one? Oh yeah.
Try question.
What is the volume of 0.02 moles of a solution of this concentration? Okay, so do we have to divide?
Just go with it. Try it. Try this question. You will use this relation moles equals to C into V. Okay. So we know that moles equals to concentration times volume, but over here you see you have to look for the volume, so you will divide moles with the concentration. Okay, volume equals to moles over concentration. Yep.
Moles over concentration. So moles is 0.02.
0.02
and then divided by
2. Yeah.
2.
So what do you get?
That's 0.01.
Very good. So volume equals to 0.02 divided by 2, and that will be 0.01. Okay, you see this volume is in cubic decimeter, right? DM cube. If you need to convert this volume into cubic centimeter, what are you gonna do? Yep.
Cubic decimeter.
If you have to convert this volume, let's say this volume, into cubic centimeter, what are you gonna do?
Oh, you have to times by 1000.
Very good. Times 1000. So we're gonna get 10 cubic centimeter, right? Okay, let's try. Let's try the next question. Okay, question number 13 is exactly the same. However, question number 14 is a little different. Okay, so here we have question number 14. Okay, so what, can you quickly read the question for me? What is the question? And tell me like what is being asked over here in the question. Yeah, go ahead.
What volume of 0.5 mole decimeter cubed
Mm-hmm.
nitrogen?
A sodium
What's
that
that?
it's sodium hydroxide. Yep.
Sorry, sodium hydroxide is required to neutralize 25 centimeters cubed of a 0.1 mole dm cube
Of
solution of
hydrochloric acid.
HCl.
Yep. Hydrochloric acid. Yep. So what is being asked in the question?
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
to calculate the
Volume, right? What
wait, no,
volume? What volume?
what
Can you
volume?
quickly point out all the concentrations given to you? Well, how many concentrations are given to you?
So there
This one is
is
the concentration.
the mole.
This one is the concentration, and this one is the volume.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me just rewrite this question in the separate space for you. Okay, over here. Let's
Yeah.
try this question. Okay, question number
Yeah.
15. Okay, so we have sodium hydroxide, NaOH, reacting with hydrochloric acid, HCl, to produce sodium chloride and water. Right? Now, from the data, what is being given to us? Just reread the question. Yep. What volume of 0.5 mole per dm cube? Now the concentration of sodium hydroxide is 0.5. Okay, so let's write down the concentration. The concentration is 0.5 mole per dm cube. And volume you have to work out. Okay, and for the hydrochloric acid, let's write down the values of the hydrochloric acid given to you. So it's question number 14, by the way. Volume is 25 and the concentration is 0.1. So let's write down over here. The volume is 25 cubic centimeter and concentration is 0.1 mole per dm cube. Now
Yeah.
you see in this question, you have just wrote all the data, all the information from the question in easier way, in easier format. Okay, from here it is like obvious. It is obvious to you that you are given complete data for the hydrochloric acid, which is concentration and volume, but the data for sodium hydroxide is incomplete. Okay, so we cannot work out the moles of sodium hydroxide. Okay,
Yeah.
you can't.
You can't calculate
Moles of
moles
sodium
of sodium
hydroxide.
hydroxide.
However, you can calculate the moles of hydrochloric acid. Okay, and what is the formula for finding the moles of hydrochloric acid? This is question number 14, by the way. Moles equals to C into
V.
V. Yeah,
Sorry.
very good. Concentration times volume. But volume has to be taken in cubic decimeter. I'm going to repeat it for you. Yeah. So concentration is 0.1 times the volume. Volume is 25 over 1000. Right? Or you can also write it down like 0. Let's say 0.025. What is the answer?
I got 0.0025.
0.1
I'm gonna check it again. 1
times
second.
0.025. Yeah, that is 0.0025 moles.
0.025
So here we have the step 1.
moles.
Step 1, always start by calculating the moles. Step 1, okay? Now, what you're gonna do in step number 2? Mole ratio. Okay, take the mole ratio in step 2. Okay, I'm just moving it a bit over here. Yeah. So here we have step 2. Okay, step 2. Find
Sodium
mole ratio.
hydroxide.
On one side you have to write hydrochloric acid, on the other side you have to write HCl. From the balanced chemical equation, you see if you have like one sodium hydroxide, you have one hydrochloric acid. So gonna be same like 1 ratio 1. Okay, so if you have 0.0025 moles of HCl, Sorry, I've written HCl on both the sides. Let me just correct it. Yeah. Okay, here you have to write NaOH, right? Okay, so if you have 0.0025 moles of hydrochloric acid, the moles of sodium hydroxide will also going to be the same, 0.0025 moles. Right? Now, in the last step, or in step 3, what you need to do? Find the unknown, okay? Find what is required. Okay, now examiner has asked you to calculate the volume, okay? Right over here, this is the volume. So we're going to use the same relation, moles equals to concentration into volume. So you have to work out the volume. Now you have the moles of sodium hydroxide
divided by.
Yeah, volume will be divided
by
by
concentration.
Exactly. Sorry, not volume, concentration. Yep. So we have 0.0025 divided by the concentration, which is 0.5. Okay. And what is the answer?
That is 0.005.
0.005 cubic decimeter. Okay.
Cubic decimeter, sorry.
Yeah. So if examiner asks you to give your answer in cubic centimeter, then what? You
Sorry?
have to Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry. You have to times it by 1,000.
Very good. So 0.005 times 1,000, we're gonna get 5 cubic centimeter. Okay?
5 cubic centimeters.
Okay, can you try this question real quick? Here's a question for you. Okay, let's try this question.
Sure.
Why don't I take the question from there? I have a reservoir